take 5 minutes to talk a little bit about partnerships. And it's so funny because I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I still am not quite sure, but I think it has to do with partnerships. I mean, I've been doing this for about the last 30 years. I'm going to share my screen. And I kind of just fell into it, to be quite honest with you. There we go. PartnerReady is it's a partnership advisory, an ecosystem advisory firm. And what we do, we work with SaaS founders and leaders and CROs to help them find various routes to market. You know, I've been a big proponent of partnerships. It's an indirect way of getting your product to market. And quite frankly, I learned early on in my career. I started in technology in 2000, and I had an opportunity to take a communications product to market. I realized it was much more leveraged and much more powerful when I was able to do that through a partner channel rather than doing that through my own direct efforts. You might call me lazy. I prefer to call me a little bit more resourceful, and have leveraged that technology or that strategy for the last 20 years. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So a partner is not a partner is not a partner. They're not all the same. You know, there's various degrees. This is just real rudimentary just depiction, so you can see there are marketplaces. So you know about the large platforms, the ERPs that are out there, the Oracles, SAP, ServiceNow, Salesforce, right? They create these marketplaces where you can go and become a part of that marketplace to get your wares out to market. Very, very transactional, very little human interaction is involved in that. Then you have kind of my sweet spot. What I really enjoy is the referral partners, the integrators, those where you're empowering for them to be able to help their customer base help them do their job better, giving them more quote unquote tools in their toolbox. So that is a highly, there's a lot of interaction there. There's a lot of support. That's a very heavy people aspect, not transactional, very, very much on the relationship side of the business. I have partners I work with now that I worked with for the last 15 years and will continue to do that until I hang up my cleats. And then there's the strategic ones, which often take a little bit more of a heavy lift on the front end. You might have to build an integration, or you might have to set them up with a wholesale arrangement to give them, discounts and to take their product to market. But those are very, very sticky, because once you've integrated, it's going to be very, very difficult to kind of do a rip and replace. So highly recommend adding them to any matrix. And just being cognizant of time, 3 steps real quick. You don't start, the first thing that most people do wrong is you start saying, well, let's go get some partners. Well, that's the worst thing to do. The first thing to do is understand who your ideal customer profile is. Who is the customer? Then you look at that ecosystem, look at everybody that is involved, that they're involved with, who touches them, who influences them, how do they buy, who do they buy from, why do they buy, when do they buy? Then it'll help you determine what we call the value chain of the customer. We now know who influences that person. Then you can find out which of those partners are really going to make an impact to get your ideal target customer. You also want to make sure it has to be really fit your business model. If you're not equipped for a wholesale model where you're going to have partners and you have to build an integration, don't do that. Work with the lower, the easier one to market might be a referral partner. So you don't have to do them all at once. You can actually step into it, but look at your business, what's going to work best for your business model, what's going to move the needle for you in the short term and then the long term, and then build your plan around that. Once you have your target partners, then you build that value statement. How do you help them? It's not about you. How do you help them do their jobs better? Once you've solved that dilemma, you're going to have a partner for life. Omar, that's what I've got.